This is not a tutorial on fine-tuning. In this video, we are going to train our own large language model based on just our own dataset. If you look up how to make your own large language models, all the videos are about how you can fine-tune an existing pre-trained model on your own data so that it can learn from it and be able to act like it's your data. But in the background, there's still all the training data that it has prior to your fine-tuning, so it's probably going to be smarter. And there are a lot of use cases for fine-tuning, but what if you just want a model trained on your own data? For example, I want to make ChatGPT but Middle English, so it only knows Middle English. I'm not going to fine-tune some other LLM. I want to train it just on this data set I have. So we're going to be using this project called nanoGPT. And nanoGPT, basically, it's an implementation of GPT. It's the same code that they use to train GPT-2. In fact, if you have the same data set, you could train exactly the same model as OpenAI did using this implementation. So basically, this tutorial is just how to load your own data into it. So clone that repository. I assume you know how to clone a Git repository. If not, look it up. It's not that hard. And then you're going to want to copy and paste this command to install all of the dependencies. Again, not that hard. And I recommend you run their Shakespeare preparation and train it. It won't take very long and it'll just make sure everything's working. If you've done it correctly, you should be able to copy and paste the command, this command, and you should get something that looks like this. That's not very interesting. That's just a very short, not even all of Shakespeare's works, dataset, basically just a demonstration. But let's say you have your own dataset and it's formatted however you want. Basically, your goal is, let's look at the source code here for prepare. This already prepares the dataset. Basically, you just want to get all of your data into one fat string, and then you can just use this exact same code that they did. So the first thing you need to do is decide, do you want a token-based model or do you want a character-based model? Doesn't really matter either way. Probably you want a token-based one. So if you want character-based, copy the prepare.py from Shakespeare char, otherwise just plain Shakespeare. Just copy it, new file, paste it, make a new folder for it, call it epic, and we'll save this as data/epic/epic.py, and then get rid of this because this is downloading the Shakespeare dataset, and then you just want to define data as a string and put all of your training data in it. And you might think, wow, that's really inefficient. Isn't that memory inefficient because your data might be really big, your data set? But here's the thing, when you're training the model, you're going to have the whole data set loaded into the memory either way. The way my data set looks is a big folder full of text files. So basically, I want to go through this folder recursively and load every text file into this string. Your data set might look different. It might be a CSV or something. I'm sure you just need to know enough Python to take your data and stick it in a string. But yeah, for me, we're going to import pathlib from pathlib, import path, get the file path, whatever, right there. In my implementation, I actually ask for user input to get the file path to the dataset. You can do it. What the heck? You can do it however you want though. But yeah, so you have your file path there, and then paths. You just loop through the path and you load them all in. And then you loop through all that. You open the file. You do data plus line break plus f.read. And this is how you would load in a folder of text files. If you were doing something different, then you would load that in however you want. Point is, you want it in a giant string. And then all of this, you should basically just leave the same. The only thing you might want to change is how much of your data you're using for training and how much of your data you're using for evaluation, because the way they have it by default is it's just the first 90% of it in characters. The first 90% of all the characters go to the training data, and then the last 10% go to the evaluation data, but maybe you want it to be randomized or But yeah, you might want to change these 2 lines if that interests you. If not, you're good to go. All you have to do is run python data/epic/epic.py to run this file, and then it would output a val.bin and a train.bin, which are, of course, your tokenized evaluation and training data sets. And then, once you've done that, you need to go to config, and again, just copy the train Shakespeare character one, copy and paste this into epic.py, and then all you got to do is change the data set, of course, to whatever you called it. So I called it epic, and then you would change this to epic out directory. This is just the name of where you want it to output the model to, so out epic. And then, yeah, you're pretty much good to go at this point. You can customize these different model parameters here. I'm not really a big machine learning person, so I don't know what all these do, but you can change those as you see fit. And then all you have to do is run python train.py on your config/epic.py, and you might want to do command line parameters. They have this cool thing where you can override any of these variables with your command line parameters. So if you want to do like less samples, you can do like max iters equals 10, so then you only do 10 iterations or something. Run the train script, which is standard and you don't need to touch. All you need to change is your configuration. Then you can run sample.py using the correct out directory in the command line parameters right here. You would just change this to out epic or whatever you called it, and then boom, you did it. You made your own language model. That's crazy. Remember to practice conjuring apples.